I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie.
Hello, this is Christina Barr. You guys are watching Black Tea News. Today, we're going to be talking about Tim Walz's daughter, Hope Walz, went on a rant because I guess she was angry that a running influencer went to the White House, and she said it's a pretty dumb rant about the privilege of running and how if you're a part of the running community, you're very privileged. And I don't understand that. Poor people can run. What is that? We'll be talking about that. There's also a really viral story going on right now about a mother who called a child who was allegedly messing with her son's things. She called that child the N-word, and she got doxxed. And now she's doing a fundraiser. And a lot of people are donating to the fundraiser because they see it as fighting back, especially after the Austin Metcalf story. So it's pretty interesting, the world going on. It just because of the nature of the internet and what's social and viral, it just seems like it's a hot mess story that should have just remained hot mess playground story stuff between parents. I don't know where the child's parents are because there's a bystander who filmed it, but we'll be talking about that and also some of this Maryland man content that we didn't get to yesterday. But before we jump into it, I want to, first of all, thank you to those of you watching in the chat and those of you who watch back later. Thank you. I see April in the comments. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the site because it does cost a stream, run the site, all that good stuff so you guys can support. I very much do appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. You guys can also check out different merch that's available at the website as well. You guys can also check out different books that I have available on Amazon. So go ahead and check out that stuff. There's a link in the description if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. I'll take you to an Amazon page with some of my content on there where you can read. Also, if you go to blacktnews.com and go to the merchandise page, there's a banner that'll take you to my book website. Again, I will be at Motor City Comic Con May the 16th, 17th, and 18th. I will be at Artist Alley. My booth is I3. And if you would like to come by and look at some of my content, say hello. I very much encourage you guys to do that. Also, my sister will be right next to me, so you guys can look at some of her stuff. She's been doing a lot of she does a lot of landscapes and things, but lately she's been on a kick of like drawing characters from like a lot of 90s and early 2000s films of like superhero stuff like the Fantastic Four, and she did Blade and all kinds of cool stuff. So that stuff is available on her website, but I'm sure she expects to sell them at Motor City Comic Con. So if you guys are interested in any of that stuff, you'll have to someone said they want to see Tina's art. You know I'm a proud big sister. You can't just ask me to do that and not expect me to derail everything and show you her stuff. It's Tina's Text Portraits .com. Nope. Tina's Text Port. Tina's spelled out. It's Tina's with an S. So she does go live on YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays. She also goes live on Twitch. Sometimes she goes live on TikTok, but she's has a YouTube channel. I know some of you guys follow her. Sometimes she's in the chat. Tina did do my artwork for, which I've mentioned this quite a bit, for the color of, I'm sorry, not the color of God's eye. For the God, of course, God is blatantly against abortion. So she did draw the hand of God reaching out to the little baby hand. So she does a lot of fantastic work. And she's also working on my children's book right now. It's about the baby dinosaur. Oh, here it is. Well, this is like just some concept art or whatever. That's a little dinosaur. He doesn't have a name. He's just baby. At least that's in our head canon. He's just baby. He doesn't need a name. So really quickly, bear with me. Bear with me. This is her website. So it's Tina's text portraits.com. And she has, so what she's, it's Tina's text portraits, because she started, you may recall some time ago, I guess it was last year, I was trying to get a big portrait of Trump signed. And she was the one who made that. And the portrait of Trump was just Trump, and it was made out of his name, and it was handwritten over and over and over again. Let me see her prints. Let me go to her prints so I can show you guys. So this was the Trump so we got it blown up. And so we wanted it signed. It's kind of a funny story. We wanted it signed. And so we were going to auction it off, hopefully for the Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. And so I was trying to get it signed. He came to Michigan and I couldn't get it past security. I tried again, and I went down to Faith and Freedom Conference in last July. And everybody was trying to help me get it signed, especially because it went viral. Like I did a video about trying to get it signed. So it went, fairly viral. And so people in his circle or whatever were trying to make it happen, but Secret Service were like, well, there could be stuff on it. And so they said no. Even people at the conference saw it and was like, oh, let me go ask people. But they just couldn't get it together. So he didn't sign it. So then someone within his circle said, send it down to Mar-a-Lago and, I'll bring it to him. And then that was around the time of like the RNC convention. And they're like, well, there's a lot of things that they have to clear. They have to vet the charity and all kinds of different stuff. So we were just waiting patiently. And then someone noticed that it was just kind of in his office. So the end of the story is he took it. He liked it and he took it. So that's the end of the story. So anyway, you can own the same piece of art that Trump has. So yeah, that's the story. That was the conclusion to that story. But because of the stuff that went viral, I did make some money myself off of TikTok, and it did draw some sales to her website. So she did get money from it, but not the outcome we quite wanted. So yeah, that's she has a Ronald Reagan. Someone said no way, he must have thought it was a gift. I don't think so. I don't know if the person didn't ask him about it. They asked someone else who worked with him, and because they saw it in his office, and they're like, "Is he keeping that?" And when I told somebody like in the pack who was part of the fundraiser what happened, as I started to tell him, they're like, "He kept it, didn't he?" So, I don't know if that's the first time he did it, but people didn't seem surprised. People didn't seem surprised. That's her Ronald Reagan. She did a Jesus. This was made out of John 3:16. The scripture, obviously. And so she was able to write it out like one entire time. So she does cool stuff. Someone's curious about the title. We'll get to it. Someone wanted to see my sister's stuff, so y'all know I'm proud big sister, and I gotta take a moment. But her paintings. So she has big paintings, she has little paintings, different landscapes. She has a lot of anime stuff. Um, some of her pieces, like she did an art show like about 2 years ago, and her pieces were inspired by different scriptures and so on. So I encourage you guys to. She has cursed images on her site. It's just that stuff's kind of random, but I some of these are my fault. Some of these were my ideas. I regret my part in them. These cursed things, but um she also makes custom stuff too. So if you want a big painting or a little teeny custom one, that stuff is on her site. So I'll let you guys look at that. Someone said, "Oh, that's disappointing that he literally just take a person's hard work. That's worth a lot." Well, to print it wasn't. She didn't lose money on it. I get, again, she did make money because it did draw sales and stuff. It wasn't. It was a print though. The canvas we got made up. So, she does still have her original. He didn't take that, but yeah, that's how that story ended. That's how that story ended. I wish it didn't end that way because I don't think it makes him look great, but that's that's how it happened. It never got signed. So, you know. And at least he liked it. At least he liked it. So, anyway. Anyway, if I ever have a face to face, it might come up. It might come up. um, I would like, and I don't know if someone could do that on my behalf or whatever, but if he could just, I don't know, help that charity out, raise awareness, a tweet or something. But we're having another fundraiser. I don't know the date though. I'll have to for the Fallen and Wounded Soldiers Fund. And that every I think it's 90 cents off of every dollar goes to just a family of veterans. So if they have some kind of need that's a financial need, or for the family about their house, or other things like that, they it goes directly to them. I think the only person who gets really paid is like the accountant. Like they really really take care of veterans, and every year they put on a really great party in Oakland County to fundraise for them. There's a guy named Jack who like will literally walk across the country to raise awareness for it, and he'll get big sponsors, like I think Home Depot, well maybe it was Lowe's, either Home Depot or Lowe's sponsored him, and he raised so much money on his own, like $250,000, like kind of money. So it's really nice what we're able to do. So I hope at least the part I tried to play last year with the fundraising got more eyes to the charity itself. So because they do really good work, and there's a lot of great people who are associated with it. But anyway, let's get to the news. No more distractions. Okay. So you guys are curious about the title, so let's just jump to it. There's a story about Tim Walz's daughter, and I saw this video, and I wanted to share because she was upset because some influencer, I guess, went to the White House and she started talking about the running community and how it's a privilege to be part of the running community. And that's really bizarre to me because out of all the activities that people do, isn't running like the lowest threshold to get involved in, you know? So let's see what Miss Walz had to say.
running as an act is political. And you know who taught me that? Tim Walz. The first thing he told me when I was first getting into it in high school, granted, I don't really do it as much anymore. I go in spurts, but when I was first getting into it in high school, the first thing he told me was that running is a privilege, and being a part of the running community is a privilege that not all people have access to. Whether you do it recreationally or you race a lot or you are, you know, at the elite level, it is a privilege. Whether it be you just having the time to run, access like to funds to buy the gear, access to, you know, healthy quality foods that fuel you as you're training and as you're running, um, access to, you know, a safe, stable situation that allows you to be in a good mental state to be able to run. All of those things are hard to come by. And if you have them and are a part of the running community, that is a privilege.
So, I guess I've shocker, never been a runner, but I have gone through different spurts of my life. My sister's like hard to come by. What gear is she talking about? What gear is she talking about? Like, I've obviously you need good shoes if you're running. You know, so people will spin out a good pair of Nikes and stuff. My brother used to work at Nikes, and sometimes there were parents who didn't want to spend like X amount of dollars on a good pair of shoes for their kids in sports. But you know what? You had to do it because or else, you know, they'd wear out stuff too fast or they'd end up hurting their feet or whatever. But you know, I I would get like a decent pair of shoes and I would wear them until they like were falling apart. And I did not treat my shoes well. I told you guys the other day I got like 3 pairs of Skechers or whatever for my birthday last year. I'm like, and I did need those shoes. So I don't know what other gear she's talking about if you're running. Like if you're in a school sport, someone like alert me if I'm missing something. But you know, other sports can be very expensive. Like I graduated from a high school like that was near like a mountain. Like people would go um skiing and snowboarding and other things like that. There was like a team in the school to do that kind of stuff. That's an expensive sort of sport. Hockey, expensive sport. Your cleats and other things can be expensive. Like football can be expensive, but running like track, like um, that's pretty low threshold. There's impoverished nations that send their runners to the Olympics and they do pretty well. There are neighborhoods, you know, urban schools all over the place that aren't necessarily privileged, but they value their sports, and a lot of parents they'll invest in some sports and stuff, but they like track and field. So I'm I'm confused. I mean, doing a lot of marathons and things like that, like I think there's fees and stuff for those sorts of things, but saying to be in a good mental state to run is a privilege. Like people run all the time with different obstacles in life. Many folks take the time and find are able to focus like in that moment when they're just running. I she just it just reeks of someone who wants to be so important and is reaching so far. Like this is a low threshold that a lot of people can get involved in. Like I can understand if she had mentioned there's some areas where you don't want to run in and maybe you live in a nice neighborhood and that's a privilege to live in a nice neighborhood where you feel safe to run. I could understand that argument. I can understand that argument, but you can find somewhere to go. I won't say where I go walking, but you know, there's different trails and areas and stuff where I go to walk in places where I wouldn't want to go. But some of these stories I hear about, different people stalking women and killing them on trails. I know I think about that stuff more than I've ever thought about that stuff, I guess. But anyway, I've gone through different stints of my life where I've done a lot of walking, and I would do running and stuff too. Work my way up, and was able to drop a decent amount of weight at different times of my life by just going out and walking. Walking, working my way up to 3 miles and 6 miles, and being dedicated to that. And that was a lot less expensive than other times when I was spending all my time at like Lifetime Fitness. I don't know how much that place is now. It was like 60 something dollars. I don't know. Gosh, was that like 10 years ago maybe? I don't know. If that. Maybe it's between 8-10 years ago or something along those lines, but that's expensive, but you get all those, benefits of saunas and pools, and like those things I think are kind of more, I don't know, you could make a case that that's privilege, but just going out and running, it's good for you to walk. People do it because it's good for them. And if you're really big, cardio and running itself is harder on the body. So right now I'm not even like really running or thinking about running. I'm just walking to shed some pounds, and then we'll get more into some cardio stuff. But am I crazy? Am I crazy? Someone said, well, Christina, we can start running if we really want to. Yeah, if you want to. My sister said, I've seen people high run. She don't know what she's talking. She doesn't know what she's talking about. Someone said, as a parent, you just do things like that for your kids. Like parents, they find a way, man. For the kids to participate in this stuff. So this is the most bizarre things. Impoverished nations. That's what they can do is run. They have access to that. We're not talking about gymnastics. Anyway, let's keep going.
And that again was the first thing he taught me. So I don't really understand how platforming and administration that cuts mental health services, cuts, funding and literal shipments to food banks, is entirely hurting the climate, because you can get into running in the climate. That's a whole nother thing. But it's cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way. Sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities. All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page, but I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides. We are quite literally.
I'm confused. I didn't watch this whole thing. I'm confused. Like all these things she's naming are keeping people from running. I gotta run that back. I'm sorry.
That cuts mental health services, cuts, funding and literal shipments to food banks, is entirely hurting the climate, because you can get into running in the climate. That's a whole nother thing. But is cutting, funds to climate initiatives and actively hurting the planet in that way. Sending people away without due process, villainizing minorities. All of those things are preventing people from getting into the running community, which is what I thought Kate's platform was for. But
So I'm assuming she means things like the Maryland man, who beat his wife and apparently was trafficking other illegals and driving around on his uh in a vehicle with I think plates that weren't up to date and so on, and was a member of MS-13 allegedly. Them sending him to El Salvador, and then the whole argument and discussion about due process and stuff. All those sorts of things are keeping minorities from joining the running community. I don't know what she means about the climate and running. I don't understand this at all. It's so desperate. It's so there's so many different things you could talk about it. Someone said run it back. No pun intended. Yeah, someone said the only way that they could agree with her is if she's talking about the people who aren't handicapped are, can run. And there's people who handicap who figure out a way to do that too. But I get what you're saying. That's the only thing I was thinking about, and that's not the route that she went. Like, if you're in the good mental health to even be able to run, it's a privilege to be in good mental health, but you don't got to do that to run. And sometimes that's how people get out of it, getting up and exercising and getting their life together like that. It's let's go. Keep going.
But it's also just damaging to society as a whole. We should not be normalizing these people. I'm not going to tell anyone what to do with their page, but I think it's insulting to my dad to leave a certain video pinned, especially when he stands for quite literally the opposite of what this administration is doing. You don't get to both sides this. It's not both sides. We are quite literally talking about good versus evil here, and I'm just really disappointed the whole thing happened. I was there when that video with my dad was filmed, and I was very impressed with Kate, and this is just extremely disappointing.
It says literally good versus evil. Y'all believe in killing babies. Y'all believe in killing babies with your full chest, 10 toes down. Kill them kids. Someone, I like this comment. She's too intellectual for our small minds to comprehend. That could just be the case, man. I'm teasing, but I'm just so baffled. I'm just so baffled. And Tim Walz in Minnesota, they're pretty darn extreme on the issue too. I mean, I know she didn't bring it up, but this is literally good versus evil. And the evil is keeping minorities from running. I'm just thinking about like sports events, track, and just things I've been to, and just how athletics is like a good, obviously good way for a lot of people to be able to make something better of themselves, to get all kinds of opportunities and scholarships and so on. And these people are weird, man. These people are weird. Aren't you guys glad that instead of like her nonsense, you have like videos of JD Vance's kids just kind of being bored at the presidential parade and things like that, just like some normal parent kid stuff, instead of being lectured about climate and running. Yeah, I'm looking at some of these comments surrounding this. Let me see some quote tweets and then we'll move on. But Running is literally the least class gated sport that exists, and many of the all time great runners came from impoverished homes in impoverished countries. What the bleep is she talking about? That's the question. Are these people insane? She's complaining about running being a privileged sport. Meanwhile, the most expensive and accessible sport on the planet is featured prominently on her TikTok. What a moron. What a maroon. Yeah, she skiing. Yeah, that's expensive too. Like, if only she read Hannah Arendt, she would realize she's repeating the famous in the neutrality of chess argument, which Arendt's identity is a defining characteristic of a totalitarian mindset whereby everything is political. Yeah, that's an issue too. Not everything has to be political. So many people, you know, want to go see the president because he's the president. They think it. First of all, how many times are you gonna do that? I've been to offices of like Republicans and seen pictures of them with Obama and other folks. You get asked to hang out with the president, go see the president. A lot of people will take that opportunity because they respect the office, and even if they don't like the person, it's like, hey, I got to check in with the president. How many times have you seen people go talk and see a celebrity and they don't even know them that much? They don't even like them that much. But like, people know this person. Let me snap this photo. Now, I don't think I've entirely cared about that kind of stuff too much in life. I really am kind of so meh about that now. But is it really so strange that if you have the opportunity to go to the White House and see the president of the United States that you wouldn't do it? Especially if you don't have to be packed in a room like sardines like the last time I went, but and waiting for like 2 hours. So you could just let some things be. Running isn't political. And she's saying her dad taught her that. Her dad, the stolen valor man, that guy. Ugh. People saying she's insufferable. And just repeating things like the low barrier stuff. In the world, like Kenya, Ethiopia. My sister said met Dean Cain and no one else matters. Well, I was excited to meet Dean Cain. I was excited to meet Dean Cain. So I'm not saying I'll never be excited again, but to meet somebody, but I'm sure there's plenty of people who I may be excited to meet, but if I'm not like a fan, I just can't imagine being like, oh, I mean, there was people at the inauguration that I saw who were famous, but I wasn't a fan of them and I didn't like some of their content or whatever. I saw Amber, is that Amber Rose who was there? Yeah, I saw Amber Rose at the inauguration. I didn't run up to like go to see if I could get a photo or anything like that. I still don't like that she spoke at the DNC. I mean, at the convention or whatever. But and then it's like if you take a photo with somebody, what if you don't end up liking that person? I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. There's an interesting story right now. Minnesota mom gets doxxed, raises over $250,000 after playground racial incident goes viral. So I'm not going to play the video because she says the N-word in it a couple times and gives the man recording her the finger. So if you want to hear the N-bombs, you guys can go ahead and do that on your own time. But to explain what happened, apparently she was at the park with her child, and there was another child who allegedly, according to her, was messing around with her son's stuff. I think she wrote she's going in the diaper bag getting stuff or whatever, something that belonged to her kid. And so she called the 5-year-old black child the N-word. And so the video takes place with this gentleman, confronting her about it, and like, did you call him the N-word? And so she was like, mind your business. He's like, did you call him that? And she's like, I called him what he's acting like. And she said that he tried to take something from her son, and he's like, oh, you're going viral, I'm recording you and stuff. And then she just like says the word on repeat and goes about her business or whatever. And so that video went viral. And then there was other people who wanted to destroy her for using the racial slur. And she got doxxed. And I guess, people found her address, and she said her social security was online, and she's concerned about her older child going back to school. So she's doing a GoFundMe to raise money to like relocate herself and protect her family. And she's raised a lot of money. The max she has is like $1 million. And for the send go me or whatever it is. I don't know if she gonna reach that, but some of the comments for the people who gave it is like, I don't know, they see it as racial justice. And some people even mentioned like Austin Metcalf. And there's people like, well, there was black people who gave that money for that kid who stabbed Austin and murdered him. So we're going to give to this single mom who called a black kid the N-word. I don't like any of this stuff. And I'm like, this is like ratchet playground nonsense that should have been resolved between her and whoever that child was on the playground. And if it ended up resorting to two mamas throwing hands or something, it is what it is, I guess. But that's not what happened. A guy recorded her. People are like, where was that child's mother? I don't know. I've been reading and looking at things. I don't know. Apparently, their family's trying to stay silent because I guess they're being harassed or whatever too. But I don't know where she was. Because if there was, I don't know, this seems like a lot to go at a child for, to throw out and just say it freely. She probably says it often. If she felt quite liberated to say it repeatedly, the guts to say it repeatedly on camera is something, really something, because obviously that man intended on destroying her. I don't think she should have been doxxed, obviously. I'm not surprised that people latched on to the story and it went viral. One of the guys who it was helping to make it go viral is this guy named Tizzy on TikTok. He has a big following, and he is used to turning his followers on people, including children, like minors. If you do something he doesn't like, turning folks on to attack you and report and bully your page. So folks shouldn't have doxed her, and they shouldn't be bothering her children and all kinds of different stuff. She, should have, I don't know, got, if the child took the stuff, got the child's stuff back, but you need to be talking to wherever the parent was, and the parent should have been present. Like, I'm very surprised there wasn't like a angry black woman on camera confronting this white woman. about the racial slur. That's what I'm like really baffled about. Cause I can't see, because he's 5. They say that I think her child's autistic and this child's autistic and the guy filming one of his kids is autistic. Um I so I don't know. 5 is kind of old to be taking other people's stuff, and that's alleged too anyway. But that seems like a big overreaction, especially if she was getting into a kid's face, and I don't know how aggressive it was. But if the mother of that child was anywhere present, I'm just amazed that they didn't have some kind of, clash, including throwing hands. So, she's raised a lot of money. What's also interesting to me is that the NCAA got involved, and they started raising money too. And let me pull up their page for their they're doing a fundraiser. The NAACP Rochester branch. He said on April 30th, 2025, in a city of Rochester public park, a white woman launched a racist and hateful verbal assault on a defenseless 5-year-old Black child who, according to reports, is also on the autism spectrum. She called him the N-word, and when confronted by a bystander, she didn't back down. Instead, she repeated the slur multiple times, and it was multiple times, guys, and attempted to justify her actions by blaming the child. At no point did she show any remorse. Let us be clear, this is not a misunderstanding or a moment of poor judgment. This was a deliberate, racist, and threatening attack on a young Black child. Public parks should be safe, welcoming places for all children and families, not sites of hate and trauma. The Rochester branch of the NAACP is taking this matter with the utmost seriousness. We are standing up for this child, his family, and every member of our community who deserves to live free from racist violence and intimidation. Yeah, we all do deserve to live free of racist violence. And I don't know what they want to be done, because it seems like people want this woman arrested, and for what, hate speech, which I don't think they have. I guess I'd be I don't think that's gonna fly. Shockingly, the woman responsible for the hateful act has launched a fundraising campaign herself that has raised nearly $150,000 in less than 24 hours. Many of the comments from her supporters celebrate and justify her hate, and there's some race war kind of pro, like, now was a time we're standing up, and kind of comments. There's definitely some toxic comments on there. We've been asked by countless community members how they can help. This campaign is the answer: legal redress and social justice efforts in support of the child and family, legal advocacy, accounting, and restorative efforts also in support of the child and family. So this is confusing to me about the NAACP. There are community members wishing to support our and ensure this never happens again. We are encouraged to donate directly to the Rochester branch of the NAACP's Fighting Fund for Freedom. This is about more than one incident. It's about who we are as a community and what we chose to stand for. Help us match funds raised in defense of hate with an equal force of love, justice, and action. What is raising money for the NAACP for an event where a trashy mom said something mean to a child at the playground. Like I just don't see that rising to the occasion of like, everybody quick send in thousands of dollars. What can you do? What can you do? Like this will not scar them for the rest of their life. Maybe something, it might not be anything they even remember. They're 5. So it just, what are you really going to do with that money that you raise? I guess it'd be nice if you just gave it to the family just cuz. Or if there was a campaign to help them move away from the racist white people, which apparently they're moving anyway. Like, social justice efforts in support of the child of family. Like, what are you going to do? Like, I want to see how these dollars are spent in real life. Someone said, I feel like there's such bigger problems in the world. Like, people's homes were literally on fire and they're worried about this. Yeah, there's that. For sure. For sure. They're at $68,000 raised right now, which is 27% of their budget. This, to me, this is just a thing that, again, it should just remain like playground drama. And I don't know where that child's mother was, but she should have addressed that woman, and they should have had words and dealt with the issue, and that should have been the end of it. But I don't know where this parent's guardian, the child's guardian, was in the situation. There was something interesting about the guy who recorded it. Apparently, he had gotten in trouble, arrested for allegedly doing sexual stuff with a minor, but that case was dropped. I'm not exactly sure why it was dropped though. I don't know if they were cleared or what. But that was something I was still looking into. So it's just a really weird situation, but that is super vile right now. It seems to be more vile right now on Twitter right now, on X, than maybe the 100 men versus one gorilla. Which obviously 100 men would beat one gorilla. I don't know what team you guys are on, but the gorilla will get tired, and 100 men are smarter than a gorilla. They will figure it out. They will persevere. Maybe a few will die, but they will succeed. They will succeed. Anyway, I don't, maybe we'll watch it. Have you guys seen the body cam footage of the Maryland man, Kilmar Abrego Garcia? So we had read the report when it was breaking that he was arrested some time ago for trafficking, and it very much seemed like they were trafficking other people who didn't have IDs, and the tags were like expired, and I was baffled because I'm like, that I don't think there was insurance in the car either, and if you driving dirty, they could take your car and all kinds of different stuff. So to just think that there's like illegal aliens driving around and getting stopped, and then they call the FBI, and this was under Biden. Biden was still president at the time, and they're just like, drop it. Just let it go. So it was released, the body cam footage. 8 people in the car, no luggage, no IDs, no proof of insurance. Vehicle belongs to a convicted human trafficker. The vehicle belonged to convicted human trafficker. Passenger stares straight ahead at like a deer in the headlights. This looks exactly like hundreds of Texas DPS human smuggling videos we've covered in recent years. ICE was called, but never picked him up. Yeah, so that is available, and there was also someone said they didn't see it. Let me go ahead and share that screen then. You'll watch it together. It's wild to me what folks can get away with and other people can't get away with, man. There might be an ad that plays.
Delaro Complete isn't like
Yeah.
other fungicides.
Wait for the ad to finish up here.
Here, don't you?
It's 1 for 6. Yes. Go back to work.
Gotcha. Where you?
I'm sorry.
Where?
San Luis, Missouri.
Missouri?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I'm from Maryland.
Okay. Now the reason I stopped you, we was running 75 down through here.
75?
Yeah. Of course, this is 65 through here.
I know. I'm going to 70.
Going 70?
Yeah. What's the limit right now? Is
Yeah.
70 or 65?
It's 65.
Oh, I can see it, sir.
You got all your
Because
info.
I see the other, the speed limit. I see the 20.
Yeah, it jumps up and down.
My bad. Yeah, my bad. You need my license?
Yeah, your driver's license, your registration, and your proof of insurance.
Oh my God. Okay, sure.
You what?
The problem with my license right now is expired, right?
It's suspended?
Extended because I have my permanent employment, so like 2 years experience. So I need. So right now I'm waiting the paper for migration. For I go to the MBA. So you know. That car no is mine, so it's to my boss.
So where do y'all live at?
Where I live in?
Mm-hmm.
I live in Maryland.
Maryland?
Yeah, also.
Whose vehicle is it?
What, excuse me?
Whose car is it?
It's to my boss.
Your boss?
My boss, yeah.
Where's he live? Where's your boss live?
My boss right now is staying in Maryland, but he lives in Texas.
Okay.
Houston, Texas.
Have you got the proof of insurance?
Yeah, I don't know where it's put it. My boss. Let me call.
So where are you guys coming from right now? Where are you coming from?
From San Luis. So I work in San Luis. So right now, finished. That place finished. So I go back. Everybody go back to the house to Maryland. Next week, I go maybe tonight with the other project.
I thought you was going to Missouri.
The next project, I told you, the next project next week is everybody going to Nashville. The next project, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Right
What do y'all do?
Huh?
What kind of work is it?
It's construction, like remodeling, painting, drywall, everything like that.
Does anybody else have a driver's license?
Driver license?
Yeah.
No,
Nobody?
Only me, so it's there for real.
Can you find your insurance?
Si pueden buscar la insurance. You say?
Your insurance? Can you find it?
I call my boss because I don't know where put the car.
Okay. I'm gonna go back here and run your license and stuff real quick, okay? I'll be right back. How dark are your windows?
Huh?
How dark's the back windows?
Window?
Stand by. How dark are they?
The color.
Yeah.
From Texas is good.
How many rows have you got in here? 4?
Where?
4 seats? 4 rows of seats?
Yeah, three seats. Yeah, with him. Yeah.
Did y'all put an extra one in?
Huh?
Did y'all put another one in?
No.
Did it come like this?
Is the truck.
I've never seen one with that many seats in it.
You hear me? What you say? It's my boss.
I said I've never seen one with that many seats.
Oh,
in
really?
It. Yeah. That's why I was asking if you put an extra one in.
No, it's the same. Like this.
Okay.
You know what you got, right?
Huh?
You know what you got here, right?
No.
He's hauling these people for money, is what he's doing. But sometimes they commingle dope.
No. But
There's 8 people in there.
Yeah, I know. I didn't know that. They put an extra row of seats in there.
Yeah. So he's getting paid to haul these people, probably to Maryland, I would say, if I had my
You
guess.
said that.
Yeah. That's the body cam. So it is crazy to me because I had an incident where I was driving my dad's car and his insurance had lapsed and I didn't know that, and I was like driving downtown and I got pulled over, and because they'll just scan people's cars to see, you know, if your insurance or whatever is up to date, and they ended up giving me a ticket, but they were like, we can take the car, you know, they tell you that, I guess, to let you know they're doing your favor or whatever. And I'm like, well, I was confused. I'm like, no, he has insurance. I'm like, well, you just have to prove it. So I didn't end up having to pay because I did contest it and the cop just didn't show up. So the judge just dismissed the case. But yeah, to be driving, they didn't have the proof of insurance. He has an expired ID. They're pretty sure he was hauling those people for money, as they said in the cam. And nobody could identify themselves, or no one had any kind of identification or whatever. And they let him go. They let him go. I'm just baffled. Little things you'll get you a ticket over, and the FBI said let him go. So the left had this thing where they just, you know, kept calling him the Maryland man. They didn't want to call him the illegal alien. They didn't want to refer to him as an MS-13 guy or anything like that. But more information just came out about him, and about how he was beating his wife. And it just got worse and worse and worse for the story. Will Chamberlain had a pretty good commentary. He said the question of Kilmar Abrego Garcia's MS-13 affiliation seems at first glance like it shouldn't matter very much. After all, everyone agrees he was a deportable illegal alien when he was removed from the country, and that, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong, I didn't add that, sorry. After all, everyone agrees he was a deportable illegal alien when he was removed from the country, and that status doesn't rely on him being a gang member or having committed a crime. And yet progressive immigration advocates are fighting tooth and nail, amplifying falsehoods to try to create the public impression that he's not MS-13, Sure, they want to bring him back to Maryland, but there's a more sinister dynamic at work. If Kilmar Abrego Garcia is and was a member of MS-13, that means our immigration laws are so exploitable that an MS-13 gang member can be detained by ICE, be identified by him as MS-13, but as by an immigration judge, have that finding affirmed on appeal, and still remain in the United States. He can go on to beat his wife to the point that she files multiple police reports and remain in the United States. He can be caught dead to rights trafficking 6 other illegal aliens across the country while driving on a suspended license in a car owned by a known human trafficker. That just kills me. And remain in the United States. In short, it means that the scandal is not the administrative error related to removing him specifically to El Salvador. It means that the scandal is that the MS-13 gangbangers and their lawyers have been successfully exploiting American asylum laws for years to ensure that members of MS-13 can live in our country illegally and terrorize American citizens, even if they are caught and found deportable. How many people has this guy terrorized? His U.S. citizen wife, his U.S. citizen children, dozens of vulnerable illegal aliens who he trafficked at the behest of a violent Salvadorian gang, and our institutions, despite having had any number of opportunities to detain this person and send him away, simply did not or could not do it. We need immigration reform, and not the kind that grants amnesty to a Maryland man, the Kilmar Abrego Garcia. The type that ends the abuse of our immigration laws by gangsters and their lawyers and protects both American citizens and vulnerable Salvadorians from predatory gangs. That's a good post. April said, father of the freaking year. Our immigration system is broken. And that's why so many people's attitudes have changed on immigration, especially from Trump's first term to now. There is wavering on Trump's overall kind of approvals and his policies because people are mad about the economy. And I think that's dragging down all of his numbers. But prior, like a week or two ago, we were looking at the immigration numbers, and the majority of Americans are for mass deportation of people who don't belong in the United States, not just violent criminals, people who don't belong in the United States. So hopefully Trump can continue to do his job. He can rev up doing his job, and so many people stop fighting, and hopefully they can do the job a little bit more competently. But people who should not be here should go. You know, I had did a video on TikTok about the Canadian election, and I offered my condolences to the Canadians and stuff, and I talked a bit about, you know, Trump and his role and so on. So someone in my comments said something like because I had mentioned I don't like the 51st state stuff, and that, you know, they have socialized medicine in Canada and they euthanize people, and I just mentioned that to just prove how liberal they are, not to really debate those particular topics at the time. And then someone's like, we have euthanization because that's people asking for that. You guys put people in concentration camps to own the libs. And I'm like, what are they talking about? Concentration camps? I just wrote, your delusion is noted. That's sometimes just what I write when I don't when the comments are absurd, and I don't feel like going back and forth a lot with absurd stuff. I did think about replying with different stories of people being euthanized, or doctors suggesting that people be euthanized to, I don't know, save on medical bills. There was one guy who wanted to be euthanized. He didn't really want to be euthanized. He was trying to get some kind of motorized like elevator chair, but he couldn't get it approved, and he wanted that to make his life better. And so he was just like, I just euthanize me or whatever. And there was a case, the Free Press, Barry Weiss's paper covered it some time ago, about a young man who, because people think euthanized people, bedridden, cancer, terrible illnesses like that, and just give them like a peaceful kind of death. That's debatable, whatever, about to do. I don't really think you should do that either, but people can have more reasonable debates about that. Canada goes further than that. There was a young man, he was going blind. A young man, and he wanted to be euthanized, and his mother ended up finding out, and so she was trying to figure out a way to stop the appointment to save her son's life. And it's not just for the people already like on their deathbed. Canada has it expanded. I think it's 3% of their deaths now. And so people are just into some crazy stuff, man. So I might reply and mention that stuff, but I was just kind of amazed. I'm like, just because are you sticking up for the ethics of it because you think because they said people are euthanized because they want to be, so if someone just wants something to happen, like they'd be killed, is all that matters is their consent? Does that go beyond euthanizing? If two kids made a pact to unalive each other, is that okay because they agreed to do it to each other and they had consent to do so? Like, how far does that ethic go? But some weird folks out there. Weird folks. But I certainly don't want them for the 51st day. But I'm like, what concentration camps? What concentration camps are you even talking about? And that's what folks believe, though. They listen to the news, and this person is someone listening to news from Canada, so they have I don't know, maybe they just see things on TikTok and Twitter, and that's in their algorithm is all that they see. But we can deport people, and what El Salvador decides to do with their citizens is what they decide to do or whatever, but they don't belong here. It is interesting, though, they keep talking about due process. The preborn, they don't get due process, and people will bring up the 14th Amendment and be like, well, that doesn't apply to the preborn because they're not born in the United States. And it's like, well, do you think only citizens are entitled to that? Because you have to be a citizen or born or whatever here. Is that what the born part is the citizenship clause. Like, there's different sections that apply to different things, but you can't, not being deprived of life, liberty, and pursuit of life and liberty, all this stuff, that applies to everybody. So if you think it only applies to citizens, then why are you arguing about, whether or not these non-citizens are getting due process? But they are getting hearings, and they are being rightfully kicked out. And again, some of these people had deportation orders. A lot of these folks, being deported. Anyway, someone said as long as the state does it, it must be okay. Talking about the euthanasia stuff, which I know that's I don't know if sarcasm is the right word, but I know you don't literally mean that, but it's not even like the state, it's state approved, but different doctors or whatever are doing it and getting paid to do it. It's just can't. I've read some terrible stories, and I'm like, why don't they have free health care? Why are people killing themselves to save money? And I also think it's interesting that if you advocate for someone to unalive themselves, your stuff's getting flagged, your stuff's getting taken down. But if you have positive conversations about getting a doctor to do it, that's just respecting one's wishes and whatnot. Or And even if you yourself was talking about you want to unalive yourself, that would get flagged of like promotion of glorifying self-harm. But it's okay if you're going blind, I guess. Anyway, I need to go to church. Pray for this world we're living in today. Thank you guys for joining me today. Please go to blacktnews.com, check out different content, the website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost a stream on my side of the good stuff you guys can support. I very much appreciate you guys. You guys can check out different merch on there, my website. You guys can check out different books that I have online on Amazon. I have everything on paperback, ebook, and most of my books are on Kindle Unlimited. If you have that subscription, I encourage you guys to check that out. And if you have read any of my stuff, I encourage you guys to also leave some reviews for it as well on Amazon. Excuse me, very much do appreciate that. Hope you guys have a good weekend, a safe weekend. It's Sunday's May the 4th, Star Wars Day. I was listening to Caleb today and they were like, I wonder if anybody's gonna come dressed up. And it dawned on me that I totally have a Princess Leia dress. It's I got it from Hot Topic years ago. It's not too like obviously nerdy, so I have totally worn it to church before. So I'm like, oh, I guess I do have something to wear on Star Wars Day on Sunday. I just don't know if I'm gonna do the hair buns. I might rock that. I do have some like a Darth Vader necklace and a Clone Trooper necklace, like silver necklace that I can wear with it. So we'll see. God bless you guys, and I will see you on Monday.